but I want to say the line like after he helps him up.
Say it.
He goes, "First of all, do not destroy that image I have of you. Okay, I think you're badass."
I'm shaking my head because that line hasn't come up yet.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. We find out here that Negan has multiple wives, and then he talks about not having any time for them now because of Carl.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
But
Right.
then he says, maybe just one, smiling over at Dwight's way. Carl
Yeah.
asks what he's going to do to him, and this is when Negan says,
Yeah.
Carl, you're not afraid of anything. Don't be afraid of me. It's a disappointment. But a longer version of that.
Yeah, exactly. He just basically, he was so blunt on like, he basically told him, Carl, if you act like a badass, I will love you forever and you will not die. And that's how I know the rest of the episode, nothing's going to happen to Carl. Right then and there.
You didn't like that line?
I hated that line.
Okay.
I absolutely hate it. It's a spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
It's not a direct spoiler, but I took it like a spoiler.
No, because you took a deeper meaning to it. You took it the way you just said. That's not what he said. He didn't say act like a badass and I won't kill you. He didn't say that.
No, you didn't say exactly that, but it's what he implied.
No, you took it as that implication. You can't say a word you can't say a phrase he said means that. It means that to you, but it doesn't mean that. Like
that's fine.
If
but
Carl
like it
acts
just
out of line, he is going to kill him.
But it did take away from it completely. The fact that he said you're a badass, I like it, and just keep it that way. That basically gives him some sort of insurance.
I don't even understand how your mind works, because this was one of the best things about it was Carl not being as man enough as he thought he was, not being a badass like he thought. Carl is going in there to do something that not a normal kid his age would do. And the second he starts to seem a little afraid, maybe act his age, that's when Negan's like, don't break the image. Like the whole thing about you is that you're this badass. You got the one eye. You got, he's everything that like Rick isn't, or he is like a younger version of Rick. Anyway, he's not saying all this, but the point of it is, don't break my illusion of you, because this is what is interesting to me. The interesting thing about you is that you aren't afraid of me, and I want to explore this a little bit. It doesn't mean once I get bored of you, I'm not going to bash your brains in. It just means I want to explore this a bit.
Well, I get that, but the thing is that it takes away the intimidation. It takes away from, like, because if Negan didn't say a word, maybe just took him into the sanctuary, and you don't know what he's going to do with Carl, that would have been a lot better than him to say, first of all, this is how you got to be when you come in. So that's the way I feel. It took I know what you're saying, and I get it definitely defines Carl's character and what Negan wants from him. But it took away the suspense and intensity of what Negan could potentially do to him. And that's what I feel this show has been lacking the whole time. Everything, that's why Negan is annoying to me. He's not intimidating anymore. He's not that person. He's not that character that I thought he was going to be in season 1. I said he's going to be like the next villain since like the Joker or something. You know what I mean? It's not looking like that at all.
The Joker is not a good villain, though. The Joker,
I like him as a villain, but
but the Joker's a good comic book, like,
he's
superhero
an adaptation.
Villain.
No, but he was adapted to film, to realistic enough to be into film. So
at no point was he realistic.
Okay, I don't want to go too much on this tangent because
No, but we will just for a moment. The Joker is not a realistic villain in any medium. He's not realistic in. Jack Nicholson didn't make him realistic. Heath Ledger didn't make him realistic.
They make him realistic to the universe as they could, and this is it goes the same for Negan. Negan's not a realistic villain to me too. I don't think he's a real, like, if you want to go with real villains, we don't really know how they really behave. But it's just to say, like,
Negan is acting like a human being, a villain who doesn't have to thwart Batman or all these other sensational characters. They're just humans, and Negan is.
That's debatable.
It's not debatable. I don't even understand. If it's debatable, then debate with me.
The fact that, what makes him so realistic? What makes him so realistic up at this point? You're gonna tell me that he wouldn't have killed Carl right then and there? Like, he really, like, there is this fictional belief.
Carl doesn't pose a threat right now. And if
he just mowed down 2 of his guys, how does he not pose a threat?
Because he doesn't have the gun right now.
No, right now he doesn't. But I'm trying to tell you right now, if we're thinking about realistic,
he is overconfident. That is Negan. He is an overconfident jerk, and he
is. Okay, but how's that real? That could be fictional.
Not going to kill. You are not going to kill Carl. Anyway. And you knew this before. You can't kill Carl because then you've lost Rick and you lose Alexandria. Because the second you kill Carl, Nobody is going to trust you. Nobody is going to give you what you want, and they're going to come at you with everything they have.
But at the back of your head, you know that already. But you don't want to rob the intensity of it either.
Nothing was robbed from me.
To me, everything was robbed. I feel like this intimidation, everything was completely robbed. This like the fact that like I miss the fact that you could be at the edge of your seat watching The Walking Dead. You can't. It's not happening anymore.
The fact that you weren't able to be at the edge of your seat because of this one line doesn't make sense.
Well, it ruined. Like it just. I think back to the fact that like let's say like when we go on with the recap, if you think at the back of your head what Negan said to him is that like like retain this image, it pretty much it kind of gives him like there's quite a bit of an insurance. That's the way I see it. That's the way I perceived it, and that's the way it turned out. So
yeah, but the threat here isn't I'm going to kill you. Like that's a boring threat. Who cares about that? The threat is I'm taking you under my wing. You are going to be like my son. That was the whole point of this episode.
Oh yes,
especially
absolutely.
how it ended with Negan sitting on his porch with his baby, drinking his lemonade, inviting people over to his place for a barbecue. Like he is taking over Rick's life. And you even see Carl isn't. He's
not fighting. No, he's not
fighting. He's not loving it.
He's actually quite. You could even argue that he's confused in a way. But you could still have that. But just like that, to me, I arguably, as I disagree with you, we just say we disagree on this. That line to me just took away the intensity that could have built up the entire episode. That's all.
Okay.
That's what I feel like. I didn't like it at all.
And I 100% disagree.
That's fine.
And that's as far as we're going to get on this.
That's fine. But as long as we like, I feel like we have like sustainable arguments on both sides. So yeah, I just feel like I didn't like it. So
I just don't know why you want to see the Joker. I don't
want to see the Joker. I just keep using it as a comparison. He's the only thing I can think of at the top of my head. But if you want to talk about like, okay, so let's say TV villains, let's say like something like Tuco. Yeah, he's a different kind of villain, but he was an intensive. What about something like, Jesus, I'm losing. Shoot,
I can't think of other like.
Well, no, Breaking Bad though. Who was the second villain? The one who
Gus.
Los Pasos runs Los Pasos.
Yeah, Gus.
Sorry,
Gus.
Yeah, exactly. Gus was a realistic villain. Like, I feel like they're more realistic than Negan is.
Yeah, but that's all right. I'm not going to give this any more.
Like, it's possible. I just don't feel like
everybody is realistic. Well, the thing is you don't want him to be realistic because in this episode he was showing a bit of compassion. He was showing that he is a real human being, and you're saying you don't want that.
I'm not saying it. No, I did not say that.
You're saying you want
not
a
at all.
villain like the Joker. You want someone who is just and wants anarchy for anarchy's
I
sake.
like someone who's unpredictable. Negan is being predictable. That line made him predictable.
Negan is unpredictable, though.
No, he's not. Here, he was perfectly predictable.
Because you never know what he's going to do. He's always going to play
that's
one
the thing.
person
That line
else.
robbed me of it. That line robbed me of how predictable it should
Negan,
be.
It's the show that you're not enjoying. Like you're not. Enjoying
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming
Negan.
Of course, I'm not. I'm just saying how it's being set up. Of course, yeah. I'm not. I never. But I'm sorry if I thought
that's a cheap setup. Like that's a cheap setup. If you're worried for Carl, that's a one. Like you already know Carl's not going to get.
For sure, but why take away the intensity? Why take away the suspense?
Because they're setting something else up. It's very clear from this.
I know what they're setting up. I just don't like that direction.
The whole you don't like the. This is first of all. This is the most beloved arc in the Walking Dead comic book, so far, and it is the relationship that is being formed between Negan and Carl.
You could still have that.
This is how it starts.
You could still have that, just without that. Like I just didn't like the. Why don't they have it in the comic? Does he say that in the comic?
He says that line for line in the comic, and it is.
He says like you should stay badass. He told you reassured him.
He says don't shatter my image. Don't shatter my image of you. Screw you, kid. Screw you. Like seriously, screw you.
Oh well, whether it's in the comic or it's in the show, I really felt like that took away any suspense or any intensity of what Negan's intentions were with Carl.
Fine, I'm not going to change your mind. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Back in Alexandria. No, we're still in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Negan tells everyone that they can have fresh vegetables for dinner. No points needed, and tells Carl to look at the respect he's given and how everyone is on their knees. Carl looks on with a pretty curious look on his face.
I'm really curious about how this point system works. I wonder if they're going to explore that.
Yeah, I don't know what you do for points, but...
Because, obviously there's no currency, so he's got to have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone gets fresh vegetables. It's a pretty nice thing.
I don't know what does that mean, like, not getting fresh vegetables? I mean, like, they're not fresh, I guess, but, like, it's like what...
Well, they don't always have vegetables, I guess. Now they have some, because they just pick some up from...
hopefully Hilltop, because they didn't get it from Alexandria, that's for sure.
No, Hilltop.
Yeah.
So back in Alexandria now. Rosita argues with Spencer about how she's not going to look for stuff for Negan. She tells Spencer that he's probably got a truckload full of stuff stashed away somewhere and that he should go and get that to pay his Negan tax and leave her the hell alone.
And then I hate how Spencer's so like backwards. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do what Rick tells me, but I'm not gonna like it. But I'm not gonna like. What's the point?
Well, that too, but it's also Rosita is backwards too because Rosita is hating on him.
She has more of a mission than him.
Yes, but the thing I don't like is as much as we dislike Spencer, I'm having trouble not hating Rosita because she's treating everyone so terribly. It's kind of uncalled for. Even Spencer, who by all accounts, he's just doing what he is told. He's doing what he should. He's doing what Rick wants everyone to do, and what everybody else in Alexandria is doing.
That's why she's angry at everybody.
Yeah, but
that's perfectly called for. I think. I don't know. I believe that's called for.
No, it's not. It's not called for because she needs to sit down and she needs to listen to Eugene. Think about what you're doing. Think about a better plan. Don't act on rage.
Yeah, but she needs Eugene to do something.
Yeah, but she's even treating Eugene like garbage.
Well, he also won't move. He was pretty set on just getting. Wow, oh my god, I'm losing the lost words. He was just set on getting stuff for Negan, but goods for Negan, and she doesn't want him to do that. She wants him to do something else.
Yeah,
so I believe it's called for because she wants to take charge. Sort of.
Okay,
she has
not
her
the
own
way
mission.
she's treating people. Like
well,
Rick,
that comes along with it.
Okay, even though Spencer doesn't like Rick and he doesn't want to do what he's doing. He seems super proactive in doing it, wanting to collect things so that nobody else has to die. And then Rosita treats him like he's a joke. Like
yeah, but like don't like
no, but Rosita treats him like he's a joke. Like she doesn't even want to give him the time of day, and it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I get the impression though that Rosita is like not against Rick, but she has to take matters into her own hands. Like Rick has to keep up that image. I feel like she knows that.
And then she's not going to talk to Rick that way.
No, exactly. But the thing is that she's like, oh, you think you could do better than Rick? It goes, yes, I can. I'm like, well, you're literally if you're following everything he's doing, how could you say you're doing better?
Well, then there's Spencer, and Spencer's
exactly. That's what I like.
Spencer's going backwards on his own words.
Pretty much. That's what I hate about it too. It's like, okay, but why are you having a character like this? Which I find weird because especially it's you're the offspring of Diana, who could probably have inspired you to do certain decisions. What would Diana do if she was still alive? But no, he's not doing that at all. He's being his own idiot.
Yeah,
he's more like his brother. His brother was an idiot, right?
Yeah, but his brother seemed a little more competent.
A little more.
He died, and he was kind of
more of an adrenaline junkie than he is anyway. But like that's the funny thing is like Diana and I forgot what her husband Reg, right? Yeah. They look like pretty wise people. Like
and they raised such a
they raised such idiots. I don't get it. Like, well, how did this happen? Like, what's going on here? Like, I don't know. Whatever.
And also, I don't know when Rosita started to hate him so much because they weren't friends when they went out last episode or
they had an affair. They had a thing going, right? Well, they had a physical thing going, but I think
I think they had that at all.
They did sleep together.
When?
Matthew did.
Oh no, I'm fine, but I'm asking you when.
Oh, it was like I think it was like a couple episodes before they went to go help Maggie to go to Hilltop, or maybe the episode. The same episode.
Oh yeah, it was just one of those things where she kind of regretted it or she didn't want.
Well, like, it seemed casual, and he she seemed like maybe she was inclined to doing it again. But then after what happened with Abraham, or whether it be the Abraham thing or whether she really wants to do something about it, and he's not playing along with her.
Yeah, but she still took him. They both went out to look for supplies.
Right, but then he still acted like Spencer.
Yeah. Okay. So she just had to be reminded.
It's definitely regrettable at this point, from what it seems.
Okay. So I just and is it public knowledge now that Spencer just hoards all these canned goods and stuff?
Well, I think they just hold it against them. The fact that they found it is something that you're going to hold him accountable every time. You throw it back in his face, pretty much.
But I thought only Rick knew. I didn't know the whole town knew.
Well, they overheard him when he was saying it, right? We all overheard his whisper, right? Remember that?
Oh, so you're saying all of Alexandria
heard them talk about it. But like, Rosita was in close distance as Rick told him off about keeping that stuff.
Okay, I'll allow it.
No, but it's there. It is there. I remember that.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about? We'll come back to it.
Probably
with all the Spencer.
Oh man, no. There's even worse. We know what happens later. Yeah. There's even worse.
So we're at the sanctuary again. Carl is introduced to Negan's wives. Negan goes off to talk with Sherry about something that went on between one of his wives, Amber, and her ex-husband Mark. Sherry says that she made a mistake and to go easy on her. And then he says, calm down. He's never hit any of them. And then Sherry says that she knows him and there's worse.
He doesn't need to, right?
Yeah. There's always worse. I was kind of surprised by the amount of attitude Sherry was able to give Negan and how Negan was taking it.
I wonder because it's a huge. That's the thing. That's what I hate about the episode The Cell so much.
Okay.
Is that like because she looks like complete chicken shit during like the episode of The Cell. She's like, oh, she's very like submissive, very like she was her shoulders were hunched too and everything. She was very like low to the ground.
Yeah.
Whereas this, she's like really. She has good posture. She's standing up to Negan, and it's like, why didn't we see? If you're gonna air Cell before this, why don't you show some of those characteristics, those attributes? Because it doesn't linear very well